You can feel it already. This NBA preseason, LaMelo Ball is putting on a show that turns heads, nutmegging defenders like it's street ball, tossing 30-foot alley-oops like it's backyard hoops, pulling up from deep like Stephen Curry. The crowd is entertained. The highlights are electric. And yet, around the league, the vibe isn't hype. It's straight-up disrespect. While fans are gasping at those no-look passes, executives and coaches are rolling their eyes. It's like they've already decided, yeah, he's flashy, but he's not a winner. That's the harsh reality LaMelo walks into every season. Even last year tells the story perfectly. He was #1 in all-star fan voting among guards. The people wanted him on that floor. But when the final roster dropped, coaches and media said, nope. They left him off completely. That's not just doubt, that's a statement. And this season, the doubt has exploded into something way louder. The skepticism is at an all-time high. Every little move, every shot, every pass, people aren't just watching, they're judging. But here's the twist. There's still one major voice that refuses to turn its back on him. No, not his dad. We've heard LaVar Ball say a million times, my sons are like phones. I keep making them better and better. But this time, the support is coming from someone the league actually listens to. We're talking about Zach Lowe, one of the most respected NBA analysts in front office circles. When he backs a player, the league takes notice. His belief in LaMelo isn't blind hype, it's a vote of confidence that carries weight. But that doesn't change the cold truth LaMelo is facing. The NBA has a brutal pattern. First, they love to build stars up, then they tear them down. Rookie of the Year? Check. All-Star in year 2? Check. But now it's year 6 and the honeymoon is over. The league isn't asking, what's next for LaMelo anymore? The league is asking, can he actually lead a winning team? Look at the numbers, they're rough. Since LaMelo arrived, the Charlotte Hornets haven't finished higher than the 10 seed. Not once. No playoff berth, no real playoff push, just frustration and missed expectations. The real question isn't, when will Charlotte win anymore? It's, can they ever win with LaMelo as their franchise cornerstone? Even respected insiders are saying it out loud. Tim McMahon of ESPN straight up said it. LaMelo is a mega talent, but he can't be the face of a winning franchise. And the crazy thing? Around the league, that's not even considered a hot take anymore. It's just common belief. And if you think that's exaggerated, just check the preseason rankings. Across The Ringer, Bleacher Report, and ESPN, LaMelo's stock is falling fast. ESPN ranked him 63rd overall, behind Christian Braun, behind Jalen Suggs. Not even in the same conversation as Darius Garland. This is a guy who once owned the spotlight, now being quietly pushed out of it. And that right there is where the disrespect becomes real. Because LaMelo's talent has never been the problem. It's the narrative around him. A narrative built on highlight reels and empty win columns. That's why this season feels different. It's not just about the flashy plays anymore. It's about proving people wrong. Either LaMelo steps up and rewrites the story, or the league keeps writing it for him. And trust me, the hate around him, it's loud. But the pressure, that's even louder. If your last name is Ball, injuries follow you like a shadow. But what's happening with LaMelo Ball? It's a whole different level. This isn't just about one bad season. It's about a pattern that's starting to feel cursed. Let's put it in perspective. Zion Williamson has missed 55% of his career games. Joel Embiid missed nearly 49%. Even Anthony Davis, famously nicknamed Street Clothes, sits at 26%. But LaMelo, he's in the same conversation as Derrick Rose, the name that defines what injuries can do to a star's rise. That's how brutal his availability has been. And yet, when the league talks about LaMelo not being that guy, they're not actually blaming his health. No, what they really mean is they don't respect his game. So let's break down LaMelo's game in 2025. The good, the bad, and the polarizing. First off, the shooting. Last season, LaMelo attempted 11.2 threes per game, more than anyone in the entire league. That's volume only the boldest players touch. His efficiency, 34%. Not elite, but enough to keep defenses honest. But here's the catch. Some of these threes are ridiculous. Off balance, 1-foot, deep-range bombs that only guys like Stephen Curry can normally pull off. Watch the film. A defender gambles for the steal, LaMelo could attack open space, break down the defense, but nah. He just steps back and launches an off-balance 30-footer like he's in the park. And the crazy part? Sometimes he actually drains them. That's the duality of LaMelo Ball. Coaches can't stand it, but they also can't bench it. He's got a green light because he's that good. His confidence is sky high, and honestly, it should be. But this is also where frustration starts creeping in. Because when that confidence turns into early clock, contested stepbacks, it stops being genius and starts being stubborn. It's hero ball. Unlike Steph, whose wild shots are part of a well-timed rhythm, LaMelo sometimes forces them just because he can. And when guys like Trey Mann are standing wide open, you can feel the collective facepalms from both coaches and fans. But there's more to his bag. A lot more. One of the most underrated parts of his game, the floater. He averaged around 4 floaters per game at 48%, elite efficiency. Only Trae Young put up better numbers with higher volume. LaMelo is a master at slowing the tempo in pick and rolls, putting defenders on his back, and using his size and touch to loft that soft push shot over rim protectors. That's elite skill, no doubt. But here's where things get tricky again. LaMelo doesn't attack the rim nearly enough. For a guy with his length, shiftiness, and handle, he should be living at the line. Instead, he often avoids contact. You can see it clearly on tape. He turns the corner on a screen, the lane is wide open, but instead of driving hard into the big man's chest and forcing a foul, he pulls up early for a tough floater. It looks smooth, but it's the easy way out. A player with his usage rate should be getting to the line 7 or 8 times a night. LaMelo? Barely around 5. That's a huge gap. And that's one of the reasons analysts say he's not built to carry a team. Because those free throws, those paint touches, that pressure on the rim, that's what separates flashy from unstoppable. But if there's one thing that truly defines LaMelo Ball, one thing that makes him special, it's his vision. The dude sees angles other guards don't even imagine. His size allows him to throw cross-court lasers, left-handed bullets, no-look dimes. Take this one play. He comes off the high screen, weak side defense cheats in just a little, and bam, a left-handed whip through a tight gap, hitting his teammate perfectly in stride. You can't teach that. That's feel. That's natural playmaking at its finest. Of course, with that kind of aggressive passing comes risk. LaMelo averaged 3.5 turnovers per game, and that's part of the package. You live with the chaos because the upside is magical. So yes, LaMelo's game isn't simple. It's explosive, unpredictable, frustrating, and beautiful all at once. But that's exactly why he divides the league. Some see a future superstar, others see a highlight reel without results. And this season, that perception might decide everything. And let's be real for a second. Not every turnover is on LaMelo Ball. A lot of those wild passes aren't bad reads. They're just teammates who aren't ready for what's coming. His vision is moving at NBA speed. The rest of the Charlotte Hornets? Not always. But if offense is where the highlight reels live, defense is where the hate really shows up. LaMelo catches a lot of criticism for what he does or doesn't do on that end of the floor. At 6'7", with his wingspan and agility, he could be an above-average defender. But what's holding him back isn't ability, it's focus. Remember how he avoids contact when driving? Yeah, he does that on defense too. On-screen actions, instead of fighting through picks, he tends to slide around them, giving top-tier guards way too much room to operate. And if you give elite guards space in today's league, your backline defense is cooked before it can even rotate. That lack of consistent focus bleeds into his off-ball defense. There are too many possessions where he reaches lazily for a steal, opening up a clean jumper, or moments where he's just ball watching, back turned to his man, and boom, it's an easy bucket. The frustrating part is everyone knows he has the tools, but great players turn tools into impact, and that's where he still hasn't flipped the switch. But here's something people conveniently ignore. We've rarely seen LaMelo in a true high-pressure, must-win situation. Think about it. His entire basketball journey, from casual AAU runs to 5 years in Charlotte, has been defined by vibes, not stakes. No playoff wars, no Game 7 moments, no test of what happens when the spotlight burns the brightest. And until you live in those moments, it's easy for people to label you as someone who can't handle them. This is where Zach Lowe pushes back. He's not saying LaMelo's perfect, but he is saying context matters. A lot of the bad habits, the hero shots, the forced threes, the lack of intensity, come from playing on a roster that has never truly given him a contending structure. I mean, let's be honest. Charlotte has never exactly been known as a basketball paradise. No real superstar history, never made a conference finals, missed the playoffs 9 straight years. This franchise is where careers go quiet. And LaMelo? He's trying to be the guy to change something that's never been changed before. That's not pressure, that's a mountain. There are a few teams young stars dread getting drafted by. The Kings, the Wizards, the Pelicans. And yes, the Hornets are right there on that list. Turning that around would take a Michael Jordan-level impact. Oh wait, MJ was there. And even that didn't fix it. So expecting LaMelo to drag this franchise to glory all by himself at 20 years old? Unrealistic. But fair or not, that's the standard people are holding him to. And that brings us to the third and biggest reason why the league doubts him. The one thing that can flip the entire narrative: mindset. We've seen this story before. Once upon a time, Stephen Curry was called a great talent, not a winner. Too fragile, too small, couldn't lead a team to a championship. And honestly, early on, those critics weren't wrong. His ankles were breaking down, his team kept flaming out, and the narrative was brutal. But then came 2013-14. Steph rebuilt his body, he changed the way he prepared. But more importantly, he dropped the ego. Instead of chasing numbers, he embraced the Steve Kerr system, and that decision unlocked a dynasty. Then look at Giannis Antetokounmpo. For 4 straight years, the scouting report was simple: build a wall and he's done. He was labeled a regular season star, not a playoff killer. But he took that personally, locked himself in the gym, fixed his free throws, toughened his finishing. By the 2021 NBA Finals, he was hitting 17 of 19 at the line and dropping 50 in a closeout game. That wasn't talent, that was transformation. What do Steph and Giannis have in common? They cared more about winning than about how they looked doing it. The hate didn't break them, it became fuel. And that's exactly where LaMelo stands right now. Some players are content with all-star nods and max contracts. That's their ceiling, and that's fine. But some go further. The question is, which one is LaMelo? He's 24 years old, still carrying a reputation built when he was a teenager on a reality show with a WWE promoter dad. People still see the kid with the flashy smile, the goofball energy. But great players rewrite how the world sees them. Forget defense. Steph and Steve Nash proved you can win championships without being elite defenders. What separates them is how they thought the game. LaMelo doesn't need to be Kawhi Leonard. He needs to be locked in mentally. Right now, the league doubts him the same way it once doubted Steph, the same way it once doubted Giannis. This is the crossroads. The only question is, will LaMelo care enough, and can he stay healthy long enough to prove everyone wrong? Because history shows when a star chooses to evolve, everything changes.